Hello, what's up, A-Gamer? Please let me know if you could hear me or if there's any audio issues, and we could try to get this stuff tested. Jefferson, hello from Brazil. I was very sad I didn't get to visit Brazil a couple months ago, but hopefully soon. Dylan Slash. All right, cool. So we have, I gotta get my camera set up right. Okay, we have the Genesis Mini 2, and we're going to be lag testing this thing. So let me grab a couple of things to do that with. I guess a CRT is probably going to be best. So let me grab that one. Hello, Craig from UK. So that's not too late there, I would assume. I think I'm going to grab an 8-inch PVM. Okay. Let's see what else we got. I'm basically just, I figured I'll set up in real time, both to let people join and also because just to show everybody how long this stuff freaking takes. um, just realized this CRT is not going to work because I need one that can handle 720p. So let me grab the other one from up here. What do you think? The D9H or the 20M2U? I think I'm going to at least start with the D9 just to see if it works. That would kind of make things a little bit easier. Let me, the other card for this as well. I do. I'm not lucky. Hello from Germany. Man, I always love seeing people all over the world hanging out like this. As much as the internet can be a rough place these days, this is not something, this is still very new to humanity. I could be here messing around in my home office hanging out with people from all over the place. I love it. I don't even care how cheesy it sounds to say that. So in my D9H, I was using Martin's BNC card, but I want to switch over and use the card with SCART and VGA so that it'll be much easier to use HDMI adapters and everything else in order to, or in just a basic SCART adapter in order to do this testing. So let me plug this sucker in. Go. I will be checking the chat more often as soon as I'm plugged in and ready. So any questions anybody has, either just ask if I miss it, re-ask if I miss it, or just be patient. I'll try my best to go back and catch up with everything. Power. Saw Expo Exo Paradigm Gamer had some issues with that card in the VGA port. I yeah, I have no clue. It's always worked fine for me, and I tested the shit out of it before I did that video. Yes, I will be doing audio latency. That is what I showed in depth in my last Genesis Mini video. So I think I'll end with that because that just involves video capture. First, I just want to do the LED testing, which is what takes the longest. And I will make sure to share my screen and everything so you can see what I'm seeing and kind of see the process all the way through. I just gotta get everything plugged in first. I wish we could play music on these streams. I don't want to get a copyright strike, but it'd be fun. Maybe I could try to figure out how to pipe in like video game music or something so I won't get a strike on it. Anybody have any ideas on that? I just don't want to play the same stock music that everybody else plays. Not that that's, not that I'm shitting on other streamers. I'm just saying having some kind of variety might be nice. Mine is not lining up here. Right, that one worked. Okay, that worked too. As usual, I'm going to be using my Sega Nomad just because that one's always really easy to use because I don't have to plug in power. Hey, the real Phoenix, how's it going? And SCART cable. I guess the input isn't configured. That's odd. Last time I used this, it should have been perfect, but let's see what we could do. Oh, wait. Maybe it's just the switching back. Hey, how about that? All right. So, let's see. I know Outrun is on the new one. So I kind of want to see something. Yeah, let's see it. Check out the game list. Outrun's on there. All right, so I think this will be a decent one to test. Let me just see one thing. Okay, pressing A lights up the brake lights. So we should be able to use that as our lag test. I just realized, though, I'm not going to be able to use the Nomad because I need to use my Genesis controller that has the LED in it. So I'm going to swap that out real quick. Luckily, I already have a ton of this stuff at arm's reach. And I guess I just got to look for that controller, wherever that might be. Jefferson wants to know what connection do I think is the best image on the Mega Drive Model 1, HD Retrovision or RGB to comp from RetroTink. They are pretty much the same. And I say pretty much because whenever you have something that's designed very specifically for one thing, it's always going to perform better. Now, whether it's noticeably better or not, it's always arguable. But when in the context of the Genesis 1, unless you've done quite a lot of work to the signal, it's going to be noisy no matter what you do. So I don't think it would be possible to tell the difference between them. Now, a perfectly modded Genesis 1 with all of, every upgrade you could imagine going through really good shielded RGB SCART cables into the RGB to comp versus HD Retrovision, probably exactly the same. Oh, ha, ha. Y'all see something missing here? went to power that on and was wondering why the LED wasn't working. Tech, what's up, man? Thanks for swinging by. I'm going to try to get this started on the quicker side, and I think you're going to be into how I do some of this stuff, actually. Hopefully you could stick around for a few moments. Vape the waves. There was no real drama. Nick just gets bored of Twitter and shuts the account down every now and then. But occasionally he'll do it at very inopportune times, so it looks like we're arguing and then his account disappeared. But in actuality, it's just Nick going, I'm bored of Twitter. I'm going to turn it off for a couple days and come back. But yeah, I just texted him about that. Like, you look like a huge pussy doing that. Maybe don't do that again. The only problem here. Oh, there we go. All right. So that looks like that will work. That's kind of cool. All right. Now setting up the tripod. Yes, sir. That looks like a Genesis 3. It's exactly what that is. I will be starting out with a baseline test and then using that to compare it to the Mini. To be your right height. Uh, Chris? Yes. Orange sticker. Now, the key to all of these high-speed tests, 1,000 frame per second capable camera. It is terrible resolution, but true 1,000 frames per second. There's enough juice left in these batteries. If not, I have the AC adapter, so not the end of the world. Good enough to start. Monty, if you're only ever using a Model 3 on an 8-inch PVM, do you need a triple bypass? That's how they usually use theirs. So, triple bypass, it's there because when in doubt, replacing the circuits of 30, 40-year-old consoles isn't a bad thing. But many of the Genesis revisions have perfectly fine video on their own. Some don't. And I would actually say that the Genesis 3 has very good video. The only thing, so I really wouldn't matter. The only thing that I will say is the Genesis 3 only has mono audio. So the triple bypass would be something that would be really beneficial for that. Could you see this camera? All right, let me try to, excuse my gut and face here. Let me just try to make it so, there we go. Okay, give you a slightly better. Ron, what's up, dude? All right, so, oh, look, it froze. All right, killing the lights. Am I getting a reflection? No, not yet. All right. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to be good enough, so this might all be a moot point here. Let's give this a try. Uh-oh, what happened? And now we wait. So I have no idea if that's going to be a good enough thing or if we're going to have to try something with some movement on screen. Hey, Oddbjorn. Never been to Norway, but I've always wanted to. And yeah, lag drives me crazy too. The one thing that I always say that I'm sure it just annoys everybody, but the one thing that I definitely always say is that I never mind losing when it's because the person I'm playing against or the computer is more skilled than I am. But I'm always pissed whenever I'm in a scenario in which I lost because my controller wasn't as good or because there's input latency and I couldn't compensate or something like that. So I just always want to make sure to have the best experience possible. Hey, what's going on, Drew? Mike Walker, someone needs to release a mod that allows me to clone myself so I have time to enjoy each retro system. I could not agree more. All right, so let me. Uh-oh. Trying to load its software up so I could. Okay, here we go. Sorry, Premiere was kind of blipping out in a weird way, so let me share my screen now so you can see all this. Um, Okay. So let's see. Let's see if this works. I'm going to zoom this in. All right, you should be able to sort of see what I'm doing here. I'll jump back in and check the chat in a few moments, but basically we're going to see how many frames from when this lights up. So we can see here that, let me double check that you're actually, no, you're not. Okay, that's, all right, here's probably the best view I could provide you. Sorry everybody. But what we're looking at right here is the beam of light that draws the CRT's screen. So this LED light has activated when it was 3/4 of the way down, which means there's a likely chance that even on a stock console, it's going to take one extra frame to make the change. So you can see there's no brake lights. And I don't know if that is brake lights on, because this might not be the best test. I can't see anything. I can't really tell the difference from when the brake lights are on or off, so this is probably a bad test then. I'll have to figure out a different test. Yeah, all right, so that was a terrible test. Terrible idea. So let's see what else we got that we could do. Nope, I'm trying to figure out, forgot which scene. There we go. Okay, I think this is it. All right, I'm back. That's funny. Forgot which scene was which. Um, AKX Media, doesn't the 240p test suite have a lag test? Yes, and this is the exact scenario in which you would want to run it, except how am I going to get it onto the Genesis Mini? So excellent thought, but that's why that's a no. Well, remember, it's going to be on the A button. Yeah, the lag of the NES one drives me nuts too. Mike Walker, how big is this 10-second file? Funny enough, it is something like a 1920 by 200 resolution, so it's not at all that big. We could try Super Street Fighter 2: The New Challengers and see and do a punch. But I guess, I guess something that we could do now is just kind of stop for a moment and make sure that the Genesis Mini is working and do a test run with this. Otherwise, this whole thing is kind of just a waste of time, because if this doesn't work, then, what else am I doing? But at least we got part 1 of the setup ready, and now we just go into part 2. We'll do a very quick and careful unboxing. Comes with a USB power cable and HDMI cable, and that very nice looking Genesis 2 controller. Oh man, that does look really great. I've had excellent luck with Retrobit's wired controllers. Mixed feelings on their wireless, but absolutely nothing bad at all to say about the wired ones. Some people said they've had some issues, but I personally have not. Oh, that does look really cool. I have always said that these things are like the coolest, like, shelf decoration, you know, blast nostalgia, like anything. I'm trying to think of positive words to use to describe it, but even the ones that performed really badly, what a neat little toy. Like if I were rich, I would just buy one of, or probably buy one or two of these and display them on a shelf and have the boxes behind them. Really just cool looking. So, all right. Bartman said that 6-button pad feels better than any of the RetroBit stuff. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize it. I'm obviously just trying this for the first time right now, so. And I think I'm going to try plugging it with this, well, with this thing that I threw on the ground directly into the monitor. So this will kind of be sort of out of view for most of this, but it should at least be easy to connect. I'm just going to grab a nice power supply. Ron said he had one show up with silver paint on it and a crooked D-pad out of the box. Jeez. That is not not what you would call quality control. That's got worse control than HD Retrovision's Twitter account. Too soon? Too soon? Uh-oh. Nothing's coming through here. Right, so this is the original Genesis 3. And that should just be the Genesis Mini. Well, that's disappointing. Good. Okay. Let me let me plug this into the capture card and we'll just test it that way. Uh, okay, well, it's working. So I guess we could at least go through setup. Um, the controller I just plugged in does not seem to be working. So let me power off and back on. Matt, Nick didn't do anything wrong. I'm just being a wise ass because we're friends and it's fun. Well, that's going to be challenging. The controller I just plugged in that has the LED light. Where are we here? This controller that has the LED light is not being detected by the Genesis Mini. That sucks. Do you remember the lag test results from the first Genesis Mini? Eric, the post in video or linked in the description. Definitely give that a shot. I think it was pretty bad, though. I think it was between 3 and 7 frames of variable latency. But this all might be a moot point if I can't find a USB controller with an LED light that works right. I guess I could mod one of my RetroBit ones, but I really like those. I don't want to do that. Just carefully going through my bin here. Well, I mean, I guess if I really had to, I could. So let me, I guess I'll just try this RetroBit one. I really don't want to do that. Mhm. So let's see if this is working now. I'll switch over. Only the 3-button controllers, 6-button controllers, official and RetroBit that come with the minis and Astro City mini controllers only work. Well, that sucks. I guess I'm going to have to... Yeah, so this is working. So I guess I could add the LED into this, which I really don't want to. Well, I guess while we're here, let's take a look at this and see if we could figure out a game that has good reactions whenever we press the A button. And if worse comes to worse, we could do something where when you press the A button, you go through a menu option, so the whole screen changes. But the problem with that is I like to do 3 in a row real quick, like 1, 2, 3, because of the way this camera works, there's a lot of downtime waiting. So, Jefferson, give me 1 second, and I will... Ian, you might have just bought me the solution to this problem. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Yeah, but how is the 16 by 9 on it? So, I don't know. That's I think we're going to have to test that fairly soon. How do we go back here, though? B. Okay, no. Settings. Languages. These are the only languages that came with mine. No Portuguese for the person who asked. Oddbjorn, thank you so much. That is really nice of you as well. Beer in Norway is expensive. It's getting kind of expensive here too, but well worth it. Okay, so they have the normal setting and the historical nerd Ian setting right here, so you could make Sonic look short and fat, just like Ian, which is definitely a joke because Ian's a large man. It's not fat at all. Sound setting, okay. I guess we'll have to lag test both of these settings as well. The A-Gamer 554 actually just made a good point about this. So if you have something like that 20-inch Arcuda or Greg's LCD CRT, that's what you would have to do because you're not actually stretching it. You're sending the full signal to a 4x3 panel. So that is actually the correct way to do it. I feel like I need to buy Ian one of those monitors just so he can set all of his consoles to 16 by 9 and get the best of both worlds. He gets to be an outcast and a rebel, but also get to play the game the right way. I mean, worst comes to worst, we could test this right here, like how long it takes. But I'd rather not, if possible. Like, actually, yeah, that could be, no, because then we'd have to compare it to something else. So let's see what else we got here. Let's take a look at the games, and I'll see if something jumps out at me. Streets of Rage 3. Maybe. Let me see. Sonic ducking or going into spin dash. Yeah. Oh, thanks so much, Eric. That's nice of you. All right, well, you all definitely solved the problem of what controller to use, because I could just use this RetroBit one now. So all default settings. All right, so let's see what happens when we press A. So all the players or enemies come and rush the screen, so this is not going to be a this is not going to be the best way to do that. Wallpaper settings. Yes, just all black. Revenge of Shinobi. That is a good idea. Let me check for that. It's not on here. Maybe just a regular Shinobi? No. Oh, the Revenge of Shinobi. Okay, cool. Ian, fat and short Sonic is actually what I'm into. Well, I'm going to put on a blue spiky wig and dance for you next time we hang out, my friend. Ron. No, B is fire. A is start that animation, so we have to go back. Oh, if we do that, we're definitely doing it on OnlyFans. I'd start an account just for that. Let's see what else we got. I mean, two-player Street Fighter could definitely do it. Any of the fighting games, I would assume. So let me just. Yeah, all right. So Super Street Fighter 2, let's give this a try. Also wear the bear slippers. I still have those. I love those things. I'm not giving those up. It gets cold here in the winter, so hell yeah. All right, so let me grab another controller real quick. Actually, let me grab two. One for the Genesis 3. Versus. Okay, so we're just gonna hit both. So all default options. The only thing with stuff like this is it's a multi-frame animation. So let's give it a try and see what happens. I'll switch back to the other view. Okay. Super Street Fighter 2. It's got to be the same one. That looks like the exact same game. We could pause. So this one might actually be a good one. Let me fire this up, turn the light off, and see what we got. Does it make a difference the light on or off? Let's do that too, because it sometimes gives me a headache when I have to go back and forth between light on, light off. Oh, thank you very much. Rent optional. I've been with them for many long solo car rides. The Tink 2, 2.0 firmware video help them pass the time while feverish with COVID in March. Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry that you got the bad COVID. The first time I got it was like that, and it was three weeks of the worst hangover I've had in my life mixed with a bad case of the flu. That's what it felt like. And then the second time was almost nothing. I was just terrified when I got the second one or when I got it the second time, that it was going to be as bad as the first time. So I did like 4 live streams and 3 or 4 other videos one week, thinking, all right, let me get all this in before the Rona kicks in, and I can't anymore. And then I woke up at the end of the week, felt great, and tested negative. So I was like, well, shit, I could have just rested. Even anytime you feel like you've had a hangover, but without the being drunk and having fun part, sucks serious ass. Yes, it absolutely does. Um, Let me switch this view back over so we can see the same things. They supposedly changed quite a bit, which is what we're kind of trying to figure out here. Love how OBS does this sometimes. There we go. Okay. So leg is down. So it should not register there, but I still think we're gonna have to call it every time the beam of light passes over the character. So this is gonna be 1, even though it's not really fair. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so 7. Now the leg is up here on the 7th pass over it. Let's just double check I didn't miss one. So let me keep actually let me keep an accounting of all of this stuff. So it's also very important to remember that this is a baseline reading. So this isn't 7 frames of lag. This is how long it usually takes for this to happen. So it's not something, this isn't a bad thing. This is just simply a baseline reading. And they're going to be different because of things like what I just showed. So let's see when the light lights up next time. So this time the light lights up right when it's at them. So let's count this as 1 as well, but we can adjust that afterwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 8. I mean, it's really 7, but we will absolutely be able to tell the difference. Because like when I did this with the original Genesis Mini, that would be, instead of 7 and 8, that would have been between 10 and 17. So it's going to be, if it's as bad as the last one, it's going to be noticeable. So this is interesting. The beam of light is right at the very top. So I'm wondering how this is going to line up, but we'll see. So 1, 3, 5, Ooh, there we go. 6. Another 8. So that's a decent baseline. I'd like to do one more though, and we'll see if there's anything, any kind of discrepancy, anything like that. Oh, Jefferson, thanks very much. That's really nice of you. That's, I will absolutely have a Brazilian coffee. Okay. Let me eject and try again. Gotta love that close-up shot of the side of my mouth when I'm just in camera range. Sorry. Okay. So everything, let's try to just focus a little bit at least. Um, Trying to get it. There we go. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Okay. Ah! I forgot to hold the controller up. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Matt, why the 3? Because it was here. That's it. There's no other reason. All of the Genesis consoles, regardless of their internal chips, perform exactly the same when it comes to latency. And even even though I've already verified that in different ways, the other way to really prove that is a lot of games would break if the latency was different because of the programming on the inside of them. The new format of the Space Harrier version is basically just using software emulation to allow it. In Ragnarok, remember, it's not frames of lag, it's baseline readings. So it's not really, and it's not really as bad as one would think. But also remember, the only time that varies is ever going to be by 1, and that's only for when the button is pressed versus when the controller port is being pulled. Somebody asked the file size before. It is 220 meg. Okay. All right. Let me switch back to the other view. Okay. Switching over to this one. So I think maybe we could just slow this down and kind of just watch like this. That's probably make the stream go a little bit quicker. Okay. So we're at 0 now, and because the beam of light is here, it should be 1 less. So this should be 6 or 7. But let's see. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7. Because the foot is still down here. Wait. Let's go back. One, two, three, four, five, 6. and this coming down is 7. Yep, 7. So so now this is probably going to be one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, another 7. Okay. Well, the controller polling must be wrong. Must be kind of quick in this, but at least we're getting a pretty decent baseline here. There are slightly different ways that you can get an even more accurate test, but really, when you're talking about the kind of latency that I complain about, this is more than enough. If you're really talking about 6 milliseconds, I don't really care. I think that's a totally fine experience, but 3 to 10 frames different is uncalled for. So let's try this third one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here comes 7. 7. All right. So 7 or 8 frames, depending on controller polling, makes complete and total sense to me. So now we have a couple of things to do. First thing is to figure out why. Actually, let me switch over to this other view. We have to figure out how to add an LED to this one controller if there isn't a way to add it via, or just like start a game and get compatibility. I think that's something else I should probably try out. Here we go. Certainly takes long enough to boot. Wrong. Well, whatever. Ridge, check out the link in the description. If you're in the US, you should still be able to get it, no problem. Okay, I just paused, unplugged the controller, plugged it back in. Pause still works, controller still works. So now let's try just plugging that other USB controller in. Maybe it's some kind of menu detection, and once it's in the emulation, it doesn't matter. It's a pretty low chance of this working, but certainly easy enough to try. No, this is going to require me adding another LED to it, which I'm totally fine with. I just wanted to double check because that would have saved quite a bit of time. Funny you mentioned that, Joe. When I ordered mine, somehow or another, it got attached to my previous address. And I called Amazon when I got the ship notification, and they were as useless as you could imagine. And then I got a message from DHL that just said, your item is shipped. Click here if you want to change the delivery address. And that was it. I just had to put in my information to make sure it was me. And it arrived 1 day later, and that's all. So, do any of you remember these LED boards I made from JLC PCB to do the weekly ad? I think we could just use these to solder it right in. Let me see if I have any of the other brighter ones left over. No, I just get the regular. I get none of them pre-made. I'll have to dig up. I'll have to try the ones from that stream. I keep meaning to send this to Tito, but I also keep meaning to do another live stream lag testing something else. So I guess I will use. Okay, here we go. Here are the ones that I had pre-made. It's going to be way out of focus, but yeah, all right. Ninja Rabbi, yes, I do. And that is going to make this a bit easier. I guess I got to snip this off and... camera here. Okay. So it should just involve power, ground, and signal. Should be very, very easy, but you know, should. I've used the word should quite a bit in these streams. Doesn't always work that way. Oh, you know what? While we're still here, we should also test why the Genesis Mini 2 wasn't working through that VGA converter. That's another quick one that we're going to have to solve no matter what. So let me plug that in real quick. Hey, Steek is here. You might have been here before. Okay, we switch that over. You all know what this is. I don't know if it could pass 720, but I guess we're about to find out, right? We are also getting no signal through this, so there must not be full power on the HDMI output of this thing. So that's not a problem. Let me just grab a different converter, one that requires power. Gotta have one here somewhere. Think I found one. Nothing at all, huh? That's weird. Stika is the alpha and the omega. You're definitely my omega, Stika. All right, so I think what we're gonna have to do then is go HDMI to component. Maybe that's it. Maybe my VGA converters are like, what the hell is 720p? This isn't a PC signal. It's not. So that's just a random guess, by the way. I got no clue. Makes sense though. Hopefully there's another fake CD add-on for this. I think there might be. I really liked those. I thought those were just really neat toys. Like if you had a Mister and you didn't have any original consoles, but you still kind of wanted just the look of it, just to remind you of it, I couldn't think of a better thing than having like the fake Tower of Power. All right, time to dig into my controller adapter bin. Be right on top here, HDMI to component. I was just using this the other day to test HD CRTs. HDMI to IPVPR, here we go. Actually, I think I could just switch the view back over and we could just test this directly on the CRT here. Probably be a little bit more fun to watch than going through the Tink. No offense, Mike. Well, time for some adapters. MVG didn't go deep diving into the tests, but I also don't think that was ever his point. I think he wanted to do more of the standpoint of somebody who knows a lot about emulation and could have something to offer from that point of view. And while I haven't talked to him in a while, I think he probably just assumed that I was gonna do this stuff. If I had gotten it last week, I would have done it and just sent everybody the lag test info so they wouldn't have to deal with it all. But all right, so having a D-sub to component breakout with component video cables. I guess I could take or not take it away, but put the Genesis 3 aside. Oop. We should be pretty done with it for a while. And eh, no love for the PlayStation Mini. Zero love. All right, so let me slide these out of the way. So before I connect these, I need to change this monitor over though. That's something that anybody that's ever used one of these already knows. Let's go into input 2. It already is changed to component video. Because if this wasn't, and you turned this on when it was already set to RGB, there's a good thing that or a good chance the BVM would freak out, not sync, and you'd have to do a full power cycle. These things really, really, really are temperamental. Do we have anything? Nothing? No power light kind of sucks. I mean, we could do this through an OSSC and a flat panel, but there's really no reason why this shouldn't work through a monitor designed... Oh wait, did I forget to press a button? Oh, what a moron. My fault, my fault. All right, so this is definitely working. So now all we have to do... Actually working and not looking bad at all. So now I just have to add that LED. It was really dumb. That was almost as dumb as before when I couldn't figure out why my controller wasn't working, and it's because my Genesis wasn't plugged in. That happens. I don't mind those mistakes though, because it means there's nothing actually wrong. It's way worse than the opposite when you get all the way done with a really important project, everything is plugged in and it doesn't turn on. Jefferson, do I believe Crix will release 32X clone this year? I don't think so, because that's going to be a lot more work than one would expect. Because not only would you have to do something like port the Mister core, but you would also have to include a video and audio input and output, and then it would only output RGB video, and that's it. So it would be, I mean, it's doable, but it's a ton of work, and I just don't know how many people would buy it. It would probably be more than the Mister, but now you could just buy a Mister. So that one's kind of, I don't know if that would be a good justification of the parts. Okay, so I got my LED light here, everything else. We downscaling? Nope, no need. This could accept 720p directly. So all we have to do now is add an LED to that controller and go from there. So let me take the sucker apart very carefully. Sega Nomad Mini. Mega SG 1000 or Sega SG 1000 Mini, that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, Dr. Lilo, that I don't think any PVMs ever did anything other than 15 kilohertz, and I believe that's the only BVM that did, and that's the D9H, but it really is terrible for 15 kilohertz. A lot of stuff does work, but it's finicky, and you often have to power cycle between switching consoles and stuff. It actually makes it the perfect test monitor, because if something will sync on that, chances are it'll sync on anything. But 480p, 720p, and 1080i all look great. But 720p and 1080i are widescreen on a 4x3 tube, so kind of a waste of space. Okay. Oh, thanks so much, In Cahoots. That's really nice of you. I mean, I always just try to give back whatever's given to me. So when there's a bunch of really awesome people in the chat like now, I try to match your awesomeness and be polite. And you know, when there's douchebags or Nick Mueller in the chat, then I respond to that with the proper response. Try the CRT filter on my CRT. That's not a bad idea. All right, so we have the controller PCB. We're going to need to wire this in, but we're going to need to figure out what is power, ground, and then signal for the A button. And it looks like they're already broken out in these mini pads, which is awesome. That is really cool. I also completely and totally forgot which pins did what, and I think the writing got cut off. Let's all hope T is around. Let me look up. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to look up my notes for this LED thing. Oh boy. Um, that is so funny. I got nothing. Well, let's see if our friends at JLC PCB can. This is not sponsored at all. This is literally what I would normally do in a situation like this. Okay. I'm sure there's other viewers I could look at, but I'm going to do this one instead. Drop the Gerber in, and let's see if the lettering is visible from these pictures. Nope, because it's panelized. Well, that was a waste. Anybody make these and remember what what that was? Shit. Try a magnifying glass. I don't think my eyes are gone. I really think this is some of the smallest writing you could imagine, so... Note, when I'm looking in with a magnifying glass, the writing is basically just dots. Well, time for some guesswork. Take a look at the other PCBs that don't have components just in case. Yeah, I'm looking in through one of those magnifying glasses that has the it has the main one and then the little one, and even putting this one directly up to my eye, it's just dots. There isn't actually any writing on here. So, well, that's good news for me. I'm not so old that I'm losing my eyesight. There really wasn't any writing on there. It's actually quite comforting. I really get nervous for half a second there. Okay. Whew. Time for the multimeter, I guess. It was a different board from the other controller. That was a good suggestion and definitely what I would have done, but it was a slightly different revision, so I don't know if the pads were reversed because T had to change components because of the part shortage. So when T helped me out with that, it might not match up. I could certainly share the files if anybody has a Gerber viewer that they think they might be able to look at. My multimeter's kind of shitting out on me. I gotta get another one. That's actually the good thing about these, like $8 ones. If you have to buy one every 2 or 3 years, it's still infinitely cheaper. You could buy one, you could buy 10 of these and it's cheaper than a really good one, and you get a new one every couple of years. As you can see, my probes are not touching, and you hear the beep. So that should very surely be here. So this pad right here is the one that we're going to need to solder signal to, which would mean that ground should be pretty easily accessible elsewhere. Let me just find which pin that is. It's the air continuity mode. It tests that the probes have a connection to air. That sounds like some shit Chris Tabor would say in a press release. That's a premium air probe test right there. We charge you extra for that so you could probe your air. You should consider yourself lucky enough to spend money on your premium air tester. All right. So we just need 5 volts and ground, and that I'm having trouble figuring out. But that, I could just plug this into a USB source to test that, so maybe I'll just do that now. Sounds like something out of Spaceballs. Yeah, that's a much better analogy. I love that movie too. All right. Voltage. Let's see what we got. So I am getting 5 volts. So on the top pins, voltages are all the way on the left, and ground is all the way on the right. Ground is all the way on the right. Let me unplug that. That means I should be able to get a ground connection somewhere here. All right, so that is okay. Well, we have those 3. I thought Stika might say something like, "You could probe me anytime, Bob." Yeah, yeah. Let me try to figure out what wire to use on this. I don't like using ribbon cable just because it's a pain in the ass, but sometimes it's all I have, or sometimes my alternatives are just a little too big. Um, yeah, we got enough space. This should be fine. Not long just to get the Velcro out. All right. That should be fine for power and ground, but I think I'm going to need a much thinner one for because it has to squeeze next to this and come out the side without hitting anything. So I'll use the slightly thicker ones for power and ground, and then a thinner one for the last. And hopefully that'll just make it a little bit easier. I mean, not that I would ever call something like this a hard mod to do, but you know, trying to make it look nice. I don't have the secondary camera set up, so I might have to solder off camera, but I'm not Voltar or Cruise. There's no way I'm going to make this look fancy no matter what I do. So, okay, should only really need about that much. Ludicrous speed, go! There were so many lines from that I still think about to this day. I can't think of Comb the Desert without thinking of that scene anymore. Like, comb anything basically makes me think of that. Eric. Sean, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Chris's role is at 8-Bit Dough, but uh, they certainly put out a decent amount of products. That's for sure. Their SN30 Pro has been my absolute go-to for the Nintendo Switch, and that's just in case, like, I'm concentrating on cutting and that came out wrong. There's zero sarcasm. I genuinely meant I really liked that. Chris's favorite part in Spaceballs is the instant video cassette part. Yeah, that is pretty funny. Isn't it kind of funny how that just calls out where our culture is today? Like, whatever's happening now is happening now. Well, when will then be now? Soon. Like, it's like TikTok culture. And we try to find that very thin wire. I know I still have some of that Kynar or whatever that crap I used to use is. It's a little thinner. Let's keep looking. Here's the pile I'm going through right now. Yeah, that'll work. Don't forget about Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Should you wear a mask or be in a better ventilated area while soldering? It's a very good question, and it is not an easy answer. So, technically, yes, you should always be in an incredibly well ventilated area and exhaust the fumes out. But technically, you should never eat fast food. Never drink beer. So it's one of those things where it's the lesser of two evils. I solder so infrequently that I don't think I would ever worry about that at all unless it was a project where I was just soldering all day long. But for three little wires on a PCB, definitely not. But I mean, that's going to be up to you, right? It's just like the fast food alcohol analogy. If it's something that's important to you, then definitely always have it well ventilated. In fact, now that you say that, it is a beautiful day out, so I think I should open a window anyway. But let's see. You know, open this one too. Would a mask help at all? No, no. I don't think I'm allowed to say this, but masks don't normally help for most things unless they're fully sealed around your face. If this was a year ago, they would have deleted my YouTube account for saying that, but it's unfortunately true when it comes to if you're breathing in chemicals like that. All right, let's connect these up. I wish this was one of the times Voltar randomly popped onto stream. I would like do something really stupid. I'd grab like an old broken PCB. I would just ask everybody in the chat not to rat at me. Let them really think that I'm doing something that dumb on stream. Just adding a bit of solder to the existing pins on the power and ground pins. Adding the cables. Super, super easy stuff. So one of the things, funny enough, that Voltar and I both do, and we didn't even realize it, might have been a retro roundtable or something, but just whenever we get near any of the fumes, we naturally exhale as we touch the iron down to the pad. So if it sounds like I'm turning this into an ASMR stream, that's exactly why. Power and ground are added and tinned. And now I just have to tin that pad for A and try to get the wire onto it without screwing up anything else or even letting it kind of get in the way. So that's might be a tiny bit tricky, but actually no, that seemed to work very easily. Well, that means something else is going to go wrong. Good. And we don't have to do any of the pad hacking like what Lewis talked about in his video. Almost done. Almost done. Velociraptor, you didn't miss anything. You missed how to set up and take base lag test numbers in a stream and what to do if your controller LED isn't working with that model, which is what I'm doing now, adding an LED to a different controller. Because some pretty damn amazing people and Ian were nice enough to super chat so I could buy another controller. So luckily, I have an entire panel full of these LED boards. So I'm just going to guess and see what happens. And if I blow this LED board out, we have like 30 more to choose from. So cross our fingers and hope that I don't, but I don't think it's the end of the world if I do. And when I hold this up to the camera, it's going to look like the worst soldering ever, because it is, because I don't want a solid connection in case these things are wrong. I don't want to keep introducing heat to the pads over and over. So if it's good, I'll just redo the work I already did, and if not, it'll be super easy to move it over without constantly heating those pads. So here we go. Oh, I can't really. Okay, so let's plug the sucker in. The light went on. I think, give me one of these. All right, I'm gonna call this good enough. The light goes off when we hit the button, not on, but I'm totally fine with that because this light isn't nearly as bright as the other one, so I could just leave this in. So wow, that was a good guess. Let me message T and let him know I figured it out because he is at work doing a real job. And this real quick, sorry. When I'm on these streams, I try really hard to spend as much time, or to try to give as much attention to what I'm doing in the chat as possible. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I love that what I do is so varied and crazy, but every once in a while I got to stop for a moment to check my phone, to message somebody back, and to do all the stuff that I need to do to keep RetroRGB running. So my apologies. That last 30 seconds was on me. Almost done. There we go. All right, we're back. I'm only happy with 7 frames of lag if it's variable lag. Otherwise, count me out. Well, I am very, very, very happy to hear that people are otherwise would have been doing mundane things, and I get to be at least mildly entertaining. That's cool, because this can't be more boring than sitting in your car waiting for something. I'm just going back and doing a non-terrible job. I wouldn't go as far as to call this a good job, but a not terrible job, making sure that the wires are soldered to the LED board properly. It is kind of funny how I approach a lot of these different soldering projects, because if I'm doing this for me, especially if it's something that I'm probably going to tear apart and redo at some point, if it works, there's no shorts, and it's not super ugly, I call it good enough. But if anytime I do anything for friends, in fact, even if I do something that I know they're eventually going to tear apart and redo, I take it so much more serious. So, okay. Well, the other thing we're going to need is some tape. Anybody see my black tape? Ash, did you take it? So, just black non-conductive tape isn't exactly the best thing to use, but the only purpose of it, and for what I'm doing right now, is just to isolate it from touching other components, and maybe even use it to hold it in place. So from that context, I couldn't think of a better way to do this. I might even have used hot glue on this one. Graphics gear, no, you didn't miss anything. You missed baseline tests, and that's basically it. We had to redo the controller LED mod because the USB controller that I use on everything apparently isn't compatible with the Genesis Mini 2. So, kind of a pain, but of all the things to go wrong, this one was fixable. Now just trying to get this back in. So I'll see if I can get this on camera. So the wire is going to be underneath the pad, which is why I'm glad I used the thinnest one I have. But this might actually affect the way the controller works. So I have to tack this down a little bit here. Velociraptor. So when I first started RetroRGB, there was one notorious modder that would cover everything in glue, and in fact sometimes use glue instead of solder. I'm not kidding. And when people tried to help and explain why why you shouldn't do that, he'd basically be like, "Screw all of you! I know what I'm doing. You're all a bunch of morons." And that kind of started the anti-glue thing. There was also people like me who, when I first started, didn't really understand that if you have a very good connection between where you're soldering, you wouldn't need glue at all for the connection. No cold solder joints or anything. However, things like strain relief, wire management, all of that stuff, glue is great for. And my favorite use for hot glue, by far, which everybody would, even all of the experts agree, is when you have something that you want to be removable, that you do not want a permanent, a fixed thing to happen. That's when it's awesome, because that all you have to do is heat it up a little bit or use some isopropyl, and that is a great use for glue. All right, that's cool. Let me clean this up and see what we could do. Oh, Monty remembers. Monty remembers. Cenk, you just said it way better than I did. The problem is when people use glue as a crutch rather than a tool. You know, so they use it to supplement their lack of skills. Well said. By the way, the reason you don't see more people doing lag tests in their videos is this is exactly why. We are an hour and 40 minutes into the stream and we haven't even gotten to testing the lag on the new console yet, which that should go very quickly once we get this back together, but it is not easy at all. All the little things that go wrong. Like, what if you weren't a crazy nerd like me with all piles and piles of parts laying around to be able to do things like remod a controller and grab a different digital to analog converter? Like, it's not. So when I say that, I'm not trying to call other reviewers lazy. Some, of course, but this is really the reason why you don't see more people doing it. It's just hard. Hey, Graphics Gear, if you're still here, have you had time to look into any of those overlays for the Retro Game Restore Genesis shells? The high definition graphics overlay or anything like that? Yeah, Stika, because that's why people go to your channel. Not to hear your opinions on these games that we like based on your opinions of other games and your insight on the knowledge. No, we go to you for lag testing? Come on. That'd be like going to me for asking your opinion on ballet dancers. I appreciate it, but I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, that's good to hear, Graphics Gear. Keep me updated on any of that stuff. I'll definitely make sure to pass the word around. I know a lot of people are asking for it. Okay. So we get that together. Let me check. My wireless seems to be still having a decent amount of battery. Let me just wash the solder grease off my hands here. This is me washing my hands, not peeing. For anybody just joining the stream. Now that I got a wireless lav mic, it would be very easy to forget. Just, I'll be right back, everybody. Just start peeing, but nope. That's just hygiene. Hands. All right. Yes, I will not be opening an OnlyFans for that. If that's your thing, cool. Not mine. All right, let's see what we got. I do think we're going to need to turn the lights off for this, though, because this LED is a lot dimmer. So let me at least get the light behind it down. Ryan Reynolds did that, and welcome to Rexia. That's funny. All right. Everything seems to be working. Get that off. So you could see the light here. All right, that's good. It's not as bright as the other, but whatever, we could work with it. Okay, pause it. Wait for it to buffer, and then I'll do it a second time. We'll be checking the chat. This is PVM for ants. Yeah. That's a mighty small D, Bob. Yep, that's a D14. Or a D9, I mean. D9H. That actually is a D. Velociraptor, you know, Cousin Scott has one of these turned sideways up on a shelf. So when he wants to play vertically oriented games, he just walks up to a shelf, flips on his Raspberry Pi, and stands in front of it. And it does a great job for that. Okay. Mr. Hot Glue Douchen Dance, or did he improve? He did, and he didn't improve until after Voltar made the video calling him out. So a lot of people didn't understand that. And, you know, that could certainly be harsh, but I think a lot of people after the fact didn't realize that many people contacted Douchen Dance to let him know, like, hey, you're shorting out consoles by doing it this way. And I don't know if there was a language barrier or if he was just like, whatever, I've sold a bunch of these, they all work. But he totally blew it off. And then once Zach made that video kind of making fun of him, everything changed. His designs got better. They're not the best, but they're certainly way better. His work got so much better. So I'm not saying the right thing to do is harass people, but sometimes, and you know, I'm the first to admit that sometimes I get pigheaded, and the only way I improve is with friends like Voltar being like, you need to shut the fuck up, you're wrong, here's what's right about this. So, you know, sometimes it helps. Get this over, and then I'll switch views so you could see this as well. Yeah, Shank, D9s are selling for over $1,000 now. That's kind of crazy. Coder kind, I'm running directly in 720p into the PVM with no downscaling at all, so there's no scalar latency whatsoever. And in fact, if anybody has any questions about how I'm doing this and how, like, this is absolutely the perfect time, by the way, to ask, how the hell do I know what I'm doing works? Why, you know, why should you believe me? So definitely any of those types of questions, fire away. I will absolutely not be offended. This is the perfect scenario for this. All right, I will switch this over now. Bob, how do you have any idea what you're doing? By failing so many damn times over and over and over, you learn how to not. So here we go. So hopefully we could still see it. Let me double check OBS. Yeah, all right, you're still able to see this. So I probably should have refocused because it's not doing as good of a job, but let's see if we could tell or if I have to redo it. And I'll do what I did last time and set it to 50% speed so we could basically just watch it. Okay. So this is interesting. This is going to be pulled right at the top then. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that? Yeah. Let me go back. It's a little harder to see here. I'm going to do this one manually, and I'm going to definitely refocus it when I do it one other time. So let's go back to 100% speed. Actually, maybe we could do 200% speed to make it easier to go single clicks. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That looks different. That's 9. Yeah. Let's keep going and see what we got. And just so if people are just joining, let me just bring this up here. So for the Genesis Mini Super Street Fighter 2, we basically had consistently 7 to 8 frames from button push to when the animation started with the kick. So the consistency here is key. The number itself is completely irrelevant. This could be any number whatsoever. The fact that it's basically all the same within one is the important part. The difference between this number and this number is the lag, and the consistency is the important part as well. So let's count these out and see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would be 10. Yep. 10. And let's check the last one. So here's the reason why 1 doesn't matter in case you're just joining the stream. This frame is already being drawn when the controller button is pressed. This is actually great. I wish Chris from Displaced Gamers were here to add some thoughts to this, but you're really only getting 1 pull per frame on these controllers. So because we haven't gone down over the leg yet, this is 1, but it almost should be 0. 3, 4, 5, 6. 11. So that's actually totally fine. That's so far very consistent because the leg is down and the leg is up. I feel like I'm calling a Sunday game. So I would actually say this is 9, 10, 10, but I'm leaving this just for consistency, and we could go over this again afterwards as well. Let me double check the chat real quick. So Jeff Lang, what was I soldering before? That LED light. So that with this design, the light goes off whenever you hit a button. Honestly, I probably just wired it backwards, but whatever, it serves the purpose. And that's basically it. So that is going to be something that you could add on almost any controller. Let's see. Mike Walker from Starting From Scratch, what console video converter should I get? I'm planning to do HDMI hard mods where possible, but I need a solution in the meantime. I mean, the RetroTink 5X is freaking awesome. If you have the cash, pick it up. If not, any gaming scaler, like the OSSC, would be great as well, but the Tink 5X is currently king. Can I sync the shutter to the frame rate? Yeah, but it doesn't affect the test, and as you can see, we're already 2 hours deep, so yes, but I don't think it's necessary just for the lag testing. Unless you know of a trick to make this easier to sync up and detect the how many frames, but let's see what else we got. I have not seen any mini GBS control. I've seen a couple of... Oh, wait, I think I might have. Was that the one from Bitfunks, though? Because if it's from Bitfunks, they probably... No matter what, they stole something about it, so... And yeah, the OSSC is still amazing. The only downside is if you have a bunch of composite cables and you're eventually looking to HDMI mod, now you have to go and buy a bunch of SCART cables and then go buy the HDMI mod. But it's still amazing for arcade boards, for computers, and a lot of stuff. Okay, so let me... Here is the second part. I guess we have to count this as one, but once again, that means the number is probably going to be off by one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and it's up. So we're definitely seeing some consistent numbers here. We're seeing 3 frames of latency different on average here. Because remember, 7 to 11, these last two, when the beam of light's already drawing the character animation as the button is being pressed, these are really more like 10. But let's keep going, and I want to do one more test and try to get the screen a little bit more focused as well, just so we could absolutely guarantee variable latency on this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's on the 10th. So we're really looking at a consistent 10 here. Let's keep going. Not 10 frames of lag, three frames different. Sorry, for anybody jumping in, I should make sure I get my nomenclature correct because I don't want to misrepresent it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Same thing. Oh wait, it was 11. So yeah, we're really looking at consistent 3 frames of lag, which the consistency part, that's kind of what makes this better than the Mini 1. So let's do one more test with this, and then let's see what I can do. This was kind of a pain to get in focus before, so I might have to stand in front of the camera again. I'm sorry, everybody. Let me, I'll get my fat ass out of here in a second. Okay, that's better. Lights off again. Ren, with all the respect in the world, man, if you don't want to deal with any of the optimal timings, don't. And that's not being mean. That's not sarcasm. I'm being very literal. It works perfect just by plugging it in and selecting your input. You don't ever need to mess with any of that stuff. That's a want only. Like some of the stuff on the OSSC you need to do, otherwise it just won't work at all. But for the 4X or for the 4K or for even for the 5X, just plug it in. Velociraptor just showed the tweet. Shinobi Scaler is now open source. Well, maybe it's not Bitfunks then. Let me look that up real quick. I will drop a link in the description. If anybody knows more about this, this is not. I don't think this is Bitfunks. If it is, then it's not their account or it's a new account. But hey, retired night owl. Is it possible that the input lag varies by game? Excellent question. Yes, it's very possible, except if we're seeing very consistent results here, then it might be less of an issue elsewhere. So, whereas on the original Genesis Mini, it was really 3 to 7 frames everywhere. So, all right, let's get that closed up, flick the light off. So attack level 4, same as on both of them. So we don't have inconsistent settings between them. Oop. Okay, we hit pause and do one more after this. And it's probably not necessary, but I want to be diligent. Yeah, MLR. So every game has a different amount of time from when you press the button to when there's movement on screen. So it's not going to be 7 for every game that we test. The only thing that we care about here is the number that is the difference between those two averaged out. Because as we showed, it's very easy to have a rating off by 1 frame. So far this is looking much better. But let's try one more time here. Oh, I forgot to hit on pause. Damn it. Let's try that again. All right. I'm going to turn the monitor off because I don't think we're going to need it. The only other thing to do after this would be audio testing, which we could do right after. Ah, congrats, Belmont. Hopefully things slow down enough so it's not too crazy for you. Steven, good point. The fact that that tweet credits Robert for GBS control means it's almost definitely not Bitfucks, as they don't credit anybody. Yeah, they steal other people's IP, and they've trademarked things in China that they don't own, knowing that people would have to fly to China to fight the trademark. Pretty awful. Files over. All right, before I jump in, Jeff, could you re-ask? I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat here. Actually, yeah, maybe just ask the question again because I scrolled up real quick and I wasn't sure which question you were asking. So my apologies. I am trying to keep up with the chat, but I'm also trying to make sure I get all this stuff in. So uh, definitely don't mean to skip anybody's question. How did I determine the 7 frames of unavoidable lag? It is very simply the amount of this exact test recorded with an original Genesis directly into a CRT that's rated at 0 latency, and all we did was count how many times the beam of light passed from when the light changed to when there was movement on the screen. So it's the exact same thing we're doing here. It's just that we're doing it. We did it on the original first. So, nope, nope. All right. So, same exact thing that we did on the original Genesis. The light, the only thing is, I probably wired the light backwards. So before it was from when the light turned on, because it was off by default. Now it's on by default. So from when the light changes, how many times this beam of light, which is essentially the electron beam drawing the frame. So how many times does this beam pass before it changes? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oop, I screwed it up. I gotta start over. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. All right, 1, 2, and you're watching the feet here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Feet are moved. Let me write that down. And it could always be variable by about 1 because of where this beam of light is versus when you're pressing the button. You could be hitting it right before or right after the controller is pulled by the computer, by the chips on the Genesis. So that's why you should always give it a variable like that, and that's why I'm calling this 3 frames of latency and not 4, just because if you were here live, which don't rewind it, this is this is very boring, but if you were here before, you would see the explanations as to why I've determined. So like right now, the light goes off right when the beam of light is drawing the character. So it's impossible for this Genesis to read that the button has been pressed and change it now, but we're doing this for the consistency of measurements. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There you go. So the reason that's really 10 is because when that beam of light is here and I pressed the button, the Genesis or even Genesis Mini isn't really reading that till about here. So that's why that extra one shouldn't really be counted. And it would only be here if the beam's down because it hasn't passed over the character yet that I would start counting. And that's only to keep a consistency in these readings. You could do it however you want. I just wanted to make sure it was consistent throughout the entire time I was messing with this. Oh, perfect. So this is going to be close because wow, I should have just waited instead of running my mouth before. So here we go. You could see the LED go off as the beam of light was going back to the top of the CRT. So now this is 1, so we should see 10, not 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, exactly. So that's how we're getting, and that was the same as when we were doing the readings up here with these. So that's why we're really looking at 3. One could argue that it would be 4, but I really, I'm not out to talk shit about these things. I'm out to give the real results, and so far, so good with this one. It's been better than a lot of the others. The other thing that you would see, especially in a lot of the other mini consoles, is when you're doing these readings, you'll see 9, 10, 6, 11, 17, 9, and that's where it gets really crazy, and that's where it starts to ruin your gaming experience because of the inconsistencies of it. Let me pause and check the chat real quick. Leo, 3 frames of lag isn't horrible, but even the Pi 4 could easily do 1 frame of lag on the Genesis. You're right. However, if I had a choice, and I might not be right, this is opinion, so please keep that in mind, but if I had a choice between emulation that was sometimes 1 frame of lag and sometimes 3 frames of lag, or one that is always 3 frames, I think I would probably react to the 3 frame one better after playing for a couple of minutes, because your brain just kind of compensates for that. And Beast even proved that on the Neo Geo video, because the testing I did on that one, the MVS-X, it was the same thing. It was about 3 frames, but it stayed at 3 frames. So Beast was able to consistently do all the moves after only playing for a little while. The other ESP thing, or the GBS thing, if I'm missing this, please let me know, like, if somebody put any info in the chat here. I'd love to talk to the person who did it and hear more info about it. Keep going through. Leo, if the baseline was a jab or a jump, it would have been less baseline lag, but that's irrelevant for the testing because the lag is the difference. Exactly. Well said. Funny enough, too, PS3 Inquisition, 3 to 4 frames is pretty playable unless you're plugging it into a laggy LCD. So 2 to 3 frames of lag on a CRT, so like one of those HD CRTs, as long as it's not trying to deinterlace in a non-interlaced signal, I would be willing to bet that even the most pro players would notice that far less than 1 to 2 frames on an LCD because of motion blur. Velociraptor, I don't think it's as easy as saying a Pi is 1 frame of lag. I think a Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigs of RAM and a Genesis core might be 1 frame of lag with run-ahead mode, but I don't think unless we did something like that, then unless we did something like this to test that, I don't think we could say for sure, unless somebody else has. So, all right, let me go through here. I even learned about Sonic trees for Bob. Yeah, that's what I've been looking for now. Rent, that is 100% bullshit. If Shank is still here, well, Shank probably won't want to get into that argument, but no, Smash players do not notice 1 millisecond of lag. They think they do, but they don't. I've had this argument with them before, and none of them have ever shown me actual proof. And on top of that, most of the people that I argue with end up actually talking about frames. I've had a bunch of people argue with me, like, how could you say 4 milliseconds of lag is basically 0? And after trying to be patient, I found out that they were actually talking about frames, which they're right. They're right. So that's the communication issue. Cruises in the chat said Smash players said RGB adds lag. I heard that story too. That's pretty funny. But I mean, it's just, I guess it's just, they call it misinformation now or whatever. But, oh, I lost my spot. So let's go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, that made sense. That lined up. So another 10. I'm gonna do 2 more and then we're done. We're gonna switch to audio testing. Let's count this as 1, but that's gonna make it 11 if it continues to be consistent. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're showing some real consistency here. That's great, because that really should have been 10, so we're still talking about 3. Oh, let's go back here. Last one, and then we'll do the audio lag testing. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, 10 on that one. So this is excellent then. This is very consistent results, 3 frames more. So now let's switch over and try to do some audio lag testing. And I'll continue to check the chat just in case anybody has any other things they want to ask. Yeah, Lucas, so you make a great point, and this is kind of what really pisses me off a lot about lag testing. Not your point, by the way, but people don't understand where the lag is coming from unless they do the research. But the reason I get super annoyed is people should never have to do this kind of research. If a big company is selling something, it should just work, period. You shouldn't have to go through what I'm going through. They should be, I actually really think that companies should be just posting all of this data. And it's really scary to see some controller companies have asked me to teach them how to lag test their controllers. And they all wanted me to do it for free, by the way. So you can imagine the not so polite answer I gave them. But it's something that people shouldn't have to worry about, but they do, which is annoying. So if you're going to play a game, the one thing I will say is I do think it's fair to tell people, put your modern TV into game mode while you're gaming. I think that's not unfair, because a lot of these TVs are designed for people who use just crappy cable boxes, because that's the only choice they have. So, those settings that I usually hate and turn off actually do an excellent, excellent job if the goal is to clean up those terrible TV signals. So I don't think it's a bad thing to tell people to put your TV into game mode, but to have to do a ton of research to figure out which modes, which solutions that are supposed to be gaming solutions but aren't, those are the things that upset me, because you should never have to deal with any of that. So, I guess the perfect example, that scam company Pound selling cables that are for Super Nintendo for gaming that use chips that were never intended to be used with video game consoles, ever. In fact, not only should that be illegal, if this wasn't an entertainment product, if that was a medical device, they would get thrown off the market and they'd be sued. So, gotta love how that works. My lag time is 100% old age and alcohol source. Buyer Stockholm Syndrome. They'll argue against anyone because they don't want to admit they bought junk. I believe that's also an extension of sunk cost syndrome, which you could exactly describe my Astro City purchase. I already spent a ton of money on it, got scammed, showed up not working, and I'm going to continue to spend a ton of money until I get what I wanted in the first place, which means I'm going to waste probably as much money as I spent on it, because I'm already in it, so why not keep going? What's the best repository for lag tests anymore? Sunk cost fallacy. Good call, Mike. Rtings is a good website for that. They do a good job keeping up with it, and their test results have been very similar to mine, to the point where I would call them accurate. I have no complaints for them whatsoever so far. I started one on the wiki, but never really got around to adding to it. So that might be something maybe we could talk to people, and maybe Durf could add a section for that as well. Because I started it on RetroRGB and meant to add it to the wiki. That's what I meant to say. So, all right. I just need a moment to get all this stuff together so I can start the setup for the audio testing. I want to make sure I'm not tripping over stuff and I have everything I need. And I'm going to use an OSSC for the Genesis because this has been tested at 0 lag so many times. I don't think anybody would question this anymore. Hung, the other thing too that I very often forget to talk about when I'm saying things like this is lag is only relative to the game that you're playing. So if you're playing Pokemon, I mean that's not a down to a frame reaction time game. I'm not saying anything bad about the game. Like a lot of the turn by turn role playing games, you will never notice latency. It's almost impossible to. So getting one of those cheap adapters or one of the any of the made for TV signals adapters should be perfectly fine. But the moment you switch over to like Super Mario Brothers, it's a completely different story. The other thing that I'm not going to test today that might be relevant to these is I'm using a decent power supply for the Genesis Mini. Let me double check and see if it came with one. Let me just double check here. So it came with a USB power cable, but it did not come. Oh, I guess it did come with a USB power, huh? Well, let me check the ratings. This is 5-volt 2 amp, and let me see the one that I was using to do the lag testing. 5-volt 3.5 amp. All right, so I guess we have to run this test, the sound test, twice then to be sure. Because somebody had said on one of the mini consoles using a higher amperage PSU fixed some of the latency issues. Jan, 10 frames is not correct. If you're talking about in the context of this stream, it would be 3 frames we're talking about. If you're just asking how many milliseconds 10 frames is, yeah, but just want to make sure we're getting that right because I don't want to misrepresent. Only shade thrown when shade is required. Um, this all together. So, is there any game that you would anybody in the chat would suggest we use for audio testing? Because the one that I used on the first Genesis Mini, I don't think it's on here. It's Castle of Illusion Mickey Mouse. So, is there an alternative game that would be a good one to use for testing? Any ideas at all? Obviously, it just has to be preloaded on the Genesis Mini. Because if we start hacking it, it's kind of totally defeats the purpose of the stream. We want out of the box results. Just gonna straighten up a little more stuff so I'm not grabbing the wrong things here, and then I'll jump right into that. But any games for audio, check out the list of games available and see if any one of them jumps out at you as something that would make sense. This. I guess the only other thing to note about the Mini is you need a. No, never mind. I was about to say that. Changed my mind. All right. Is there a game with a menu background music test? Ooh, that might work. 3D Blast. Okay, let me take a look at that as soon as we get this thing loaded up. And we should also be able to do this through Premiere just by looking up from when the animation starts and then just counting the frames until we see the waveform. That shouldn't be too bad at all. Also, just in case anybody is kind of new to the channel, this HDMI to component video converter that I used to do this lag testing has already been tested on a bunch of my different videos as zero latency added. So that was kind of what I was getting at before. If anybody has any questions or you know, and it doesn't believe what my testing is correct or anything, I really did. I did skip over that because I knew the stream was going to be long anyway, but we could have lag tested that to show that that setup is zero. So if anybody has any doubts on this, I will make sure to put a link to the other videos in the description. If I thought this was going to be a shorter video, I would have opened with lag testing it. But unlike MD Fourier testing, which could change every time you boot your computer because of drivers and software, so that's why every time you do MD Fourier, you have to redo your tests. This stuff is pretty darn consistent. You really shouldn't have to worry about any of that. Also, what we're about to do was the video I did lag testing your capture card. So I'm going to use a different card this time, so we might actually have to do some baseline readings after we get it all in. Oh, it's so much easier lifting those 8 and 9 inch than the 20s. I get used to lifting the heavy monitors, but it doesn't mean it sucks any less when you do. All right, so will there be a summary video? There will be a summary post, definitely. But this is just going to be the video. I wish I could find somebody that would be able to do cheap edits for these, so we could do live streams and then just edit them out into very short clips. But I don't have the money to pay anybody for that. Do I have any Mega Drive that crashes with the Master System Super Monaco GP game running on a Mega EverDrive? Not that I remember, but I don't think I've ever done that specific test. But we could probably try it now. In fact, let me switch this over. I am just going to set this to generic mode because there is zero reason for us to worry about this. Output options. Might want to check that table leg lock. Oh, both of them. Thank you. Thank you. Good looking out. Good looking out. It wasn't bad, but yeah. Thank you. Much appreciated. So, Bartman, the samples in Rystar you said play at the wrong pitch. That stuff very much interests me, but that's not the analysis I'm doing today. I'm not. Thank you for letting me know. I'm not, I'm not shooting you down here, but we're not going to be going into any of that today. However, it's really cool that other people are looking into it to try to guarantee we're getting the same results for this stuff. This is the type of thing that I would like to see Modern Vintage Gamer, John Linneman, and Joe from GameSack take a look at as well. So which of the games did you say before here? Oh, let me go back up. Rystar, as does Sonic 3D Blast. Let me grab the box just to make sure. Rystar and Sonic 3D Blast. Well, y'all are awesome. Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong screen here. Velociraptor, all kidding aside, I mean, a lot of times if you hear my voice in these streams and you hear me talking, you realize that it's just me being silly or sarcastic. Whereas when you read the words in these comments sometimes, it's like, wow, Bob's being a douchebag, but I might not always be. Sometimes I am, though. It's frustrating sometimes when you work incredibly hard on something and you get in the comments section and there's just a bunch of people shitting on the wrong thing or something. Looking to upgrade an old LEG OLED model. Hopefully have better lag-wise. Yeah, I love my OLED. I'm afraid to get rid of it for all these weird little reasons. Oh, no, yeah, sometimes I do need to verbally bitch slap people, but... Alright, so let's see... Alright, we got... If the audio's too loud, let me know here. Yeah, we would need something visual on screen. I could set everything back up and use a camera, but to be honest, if I did that, I would do that off stream where I could put a mic up to it. I'd have to be completely silent. And if we need to do that, we could do that. But I think we'd be able to find a different one that could have all of this stuff on here. Angry Ghost, this is the original Genesis. If I play the boss music, the bird will change. Okay, let me try... We're here, so let me try this too. Yeah, alright, let's go back. Yeah, because any of these tests that we do, it has to be consistent. Like that whole butt bump for Castle of Illusion, the only reason I did that is because Joe did it. And because I wanted to match what he was doing so that we could have apples to apples comparison. Ah, thanks, Steven. That'll work too, though. Yeah, this crunchy voice samples is definitely correct. So I'm going to test using AverMedia's Rec Central software because quality is not what we're going for here. I could also turn the volume off for this. All right, here we go. We got 1280 by 720. Alright, let's see how these samples play back and see if I did that right or if I should redo it. Oh, I had my settings wrong. Gotta redo it. Hey, what's up so far? We're another super nerdy stream. I don't think I'm doing the recording right. Let me try this again. Get that right. Hey, thanks so much, Monty. Appreciate it. No, this is definitely awful music. I don't like this either, but that's what we gotta do to make this recording, so. All right, let's open this up in Premiere and see if we could open up the waveforms and everything else and see how that goes. Let me know if my vocal audio drops out at some point as well, because I'm my wireless mic probably doesn't have much juice left, but since I'm at the desk now, I can switch to the boom mic. For all the super exciting stuff like labeling files. All right. So let's see if this will even work out. Let's zoom in here. If where's my view coming in? Are you able to see what I'm doing here? Let's try. Yeah, that view might actually, no, shit. Sure. Nope. Thanks for swinging by, Bartman. Yeah, I think this is going to be good enough. All right, so let's see. So this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 frames from the time it moves to the time the music starts. And I'll just keep going down the line and seeing. If this isn't a good test, we just have to find another test. Two frames that time till the audio started. This was so this might not be the best game to use. Then we might have to try a different one. That went from 2.5 to 4. So while I know this is probably even more boring than the other part, if we're going to do our job right here, we have to do it consistently. So let me switch back over to the other view and go in. Chan, thank you so much. Really appreciate the super chat. All right. So, what was the one that you all said that Joe was using? Revenge of Shinobi, was it? Joe used Streets of Rage 3 and was showing the sound lag between button press and a punch sound in the game. Or the menu. So either way, we have 2 people saying Streets of Rage 3 here, so that's absolutely what we're going to do. Once again, I'm trying to use the YouTube window to look at my capture. think I'd rather do. I think I would rather use this menu, just because there's no background music to get in the way. But you know, let me get into the game just to see as well. Because unless the sound effects are super loud, it's kind of hard to pick out the waveforms. Like, that's the reason Mickey's butt was good in the other one. Yeah, it's definitely going to be harder, so. Right, come on, start. Let's just try this. Simplicity at its best. Oh, let me label that properly. Genesis 3, Streets of Rage. Switch back over. So, one. So it's moved over on this. So 1, 2 to the music starts. Let's try again on this one. Hold on 1 second, guys. All right, we got 2. 1, 2. So that looks like 2 frames consistent for that, which is pretty awesome. So let me continue to use this. I'm going to delete the Rystar ones. And let's go back into that and just get a couple more. But that should actually be a really good test, and we could test consistency that way. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? In. Right. Back over to desktop view, and let's keep going. You try to move my Premiere window then, just so you all could see it a little bit better. I'm trying to make it. Get over here. Yeah. All right, better than it was at least. So at least you have a better idea. So let's keep going until the arrow changes. So zoom in. Arrow just changed. So 1, 2, 3. Let's keep going. It could always be variable by a little bit. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So the fact that the other one were 2 and this was 3 could be the latency of the capture card. It could be when we hit record. There's a lot of factors involved, but 2 or 3 is going to be that's going to be consistent enough. So I think that we should be able to switch over to the Genesis Mini and see what that's like. Because if it's a big difference, you're going to notice it right there. Great, we got more bots. Okay. Thanks, RetroCoop. Much appreciated. So now we got the Mini in. Let me plug this sucker in. All right. What do we got? I didn't do it super fast on the real Genesis, but let's see if that made a difference. We could always go back and test. That's not a problem. Two. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm really so. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, two, three, four, five. I screwed that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Seeing consistent numbers are good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, so 5 frames of audio lag isn't the greatest, but consistent is pretty cool. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Another 8. So it's really great seeing these numbers. And because it's not bad, let's also see what happens when I did it quickly between each other like this. I didn't test this on the original, but we'll see if it changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, this is really consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I mean, this is. I get one more, I guess, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So, any other tests or changes that anybody here wants to see? Anything that they think I should do differently? Anything that you found? So far, we found out that it's got 3 frames of pretty consistent input latency, and that's total from button press to video output. And the difference in latency of audio from original is 5, which means the audio is always kind of delayed by 2 frames. So it's not great, but it's way better than the 3 to 7 frames of variable latency that the original one has. Did you ever see that oh, I gotta look this up. I can't just describe it. I have to show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna just drop this here in the chat. I don't want to play it because I'm probably gonna get copyright struck, but I love that one. um, oh, Tom, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is with the original, or this is with the power supply I used for the other tests. Now I'm going to use the original power supply that it was shipped with. Thank you. I knew there was one other thing I was forgetting. And then the stream, we could call it afterwards. But yeah, that was the important thing that I was forgetting. Much, much appreciated. Good call, Tom. Yeah, Chan, the consistency is really the difference. Because you could never really time your moves if there's a variable, if it's never the same delay twice. And, just walking around the overworld of Zelda or something like that, it's probably not going to matter. But if you're talking about, like, timing your fighting moves and getting all of your special moves in right, I mean, all that stuff does make a huge difference. Samicom, I think it was. Mike Moffat was going to help out and do a post about that. I don't really know what happened. Yeah, the controllers are great, Retro Coupe, but also just the look. I just think it's awesome. It looks like an original controller. All right, let's get back in. For the record, I strongly doubt that a 2 amp power supply isn't powerful enough for this. I think the case with the Astro City Mini, was it, or whatever? I think it wasn't that that one was powerful, but not quite powerful enough. I think that one was just junk, like a complete and total junk, and that's why it didn't work. I could be wrong, but I think that's what the deal was with that. So, which of course could be the same. I imagine if we took some crappy 0.5 amp PSU and hooked it up to this, it would do the same thing. So, very good that we remembered to test it. Okay. Whoa, nope, nope, nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not sure if you can hear it coming through the mic, but the sound starts right before this. So if we like pull the waveform out a little bit, the sound starts to play right before. But it's about, you know, either way, if I counted it to there, it would have been 9 on all of them. So the number itself doesn't matter, it's the difference. And that's what I've been counting. So if anybody thinks I made a mistake, please speed up. I'm only human. Speed up. Speak up. What a moron. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. I'll bring this back up so it's a little easier for me to see. There we go. Same. Yep. Yeah. So this is the same. So let me close out of here, and I guess let's just take a look. I mean, we spent this much time just going over and lag testing it. Let's just see let's check out some of the games and see what the differences are. But I'm not going to do that for very long. I know this is already a very, very long stream. So return to the main menu. Pretty neat. Am I the only person that didn't really like Crusader of Senti? I thought for a game that came out quite a few years after A Link to the Past, it did a bad job cloning it. You know, I'm going to reference my own post here on the differences and figure out. Okay, previously unreleased games, Deviant Pi and Star Mobile. So let's take a look at those. And actually, I'm going to take a moment to switch mics so I could actually hear the game for once. So hold on a moment, please. All right, how does this sound? Please let me know. Am I too loud? Not loud enough? I just switched to the boom mic because I wanted to be able to turn the game audio on so I could listen to how it sounds. I'll also turn the game on. Alright. Thanks, Lero Fox. I don't understand what the Oh. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Robert. This sucks. Oh, I get it now. I'm just moving both controllers at the same time in case I accidentally hit something on top, but I doubt I will. Okay, well, I think we can just skip this game. That one again. Return to the main menu. Hey, Elk. Yeah, I totally imagine if I had taken the time to look that up. But also, with respect to all game devs everywhere, if you need the manual, you know, what kind of game is this? It's the thing I love about arcade games is you just pick up and play. So Star Mobile is the other one. Lucas, louder like I'm louder, the game's louder. Please let me know whatever you'd like me to do to try to make it better. There we go. Oh, hitting A destroys the star. Okay, and you only have a limited amount, so I should only be doing that when I need to. I mean, this is kind of cool. It reminds me more of like a cell phone game. Oh, there's no thing there. Oh, thanks, Elk. So, I mean, this is neat. This is absolutely a game I could see myself playing if I just want to kill a couple minutes. But, yeah, it's a new Space Area 2. I'm definitely going to try that right now. I'm just kind of looking over, you know what, let me drop this in the chat for anybody interested, but here's the full game lineup with all of the differences. Yeah, so Space Harrier is probably the one I want to see next then. Here we go. Let's take a look at both. All good, Lucas.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Just playing the 32X version of this game on my arcade machine.
Get ready.
Marcello, I'm completely in agreement with you. For $100, this thing, I mean, I think this is worth the money. I think this is cool. I like it. This is something I could actually recommend to casual Genesis fans and not have to have the disclaimer like, remember, if you really like it, you know, you have to buy the original. I really think this holds up for good enough. So let's try the other one. Actually, no. Game reset. Yeah. Did I just hit the wrong thing again? A dork. Sorry. No, I guess I have to go back to the main menu, right? Yeah, okay. Leo, it was about 5 frames longer. Alright, 2 frames longer than stock, right? 5 frames longer than stock. I'm already not remembering. I'm having trouble getting back to the menu. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Space Harrier.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Okay, I'll wait for the boss in the first level. I can actually do that pretty easily on this game. One thing to keep in mind though is this is 720p and OBS is scaling it to the 1080p resolution of the stream, so if there's any weirdness in there, it might be that. But so far so good. Yeah, Leo, I heard that too. I thought maybe it was just something wrong with my setup. Great soundtrack, though. Oh, yeah. Chen, if somebody wants to send me one, sure, I could do another live stream like this. It would be equally as long and drawn out. But it wasn't something I was planning on picking up myself. So I saw the flicker, yeah, that is pretty nuts. Scale filtering is now on point. I had it on none. So let's see what other games we got listed here. New or updated games. So Fantasy Zone adds an easy mode, don't care. Outrun, select from 4 radio stations instead of 3. We could look at that now, but I don't think that's going to be impressive, to be honest with you. I think they probably just stuck one of the soundtracks in from the DS version. Or maybe 3DS. Yeah.
Get ready.
It's alright. Not the best version of Outrun, so... I didn't seat the mode button in properly when I put this controller back together. That's why I have so many... such a hard time getting it to load properly. Alright, back to the list. Phantasy Star 2 includes adjustable movement speed and a new easy mode. Maybe. Rainbow Islands, new extra mode that features brand new enemies. We already saw Space Harrier. Spatter, new arcade port. That wasn't the thing I saw before, right? No, that was... So you're just supposed to run away from these, right? Looks like Sonic, doesn't it? No, only from one angle. Never mind. Anybody know what I'm supposed to do? You use the jump move to attack enemies on the opposite side of the fence. Yeah. Alright. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, I think my menu button's jammed, or my mode button. That's really funny. I mean, porting a 1982 arcade game to the Genesis doesn't seem like... Thanks for swinging by, Chen. So you're really just looking at the top screen? I think I could skip this one. What monitor am I playing on? Right through the OBS window. I know. And without using lag test equipment, how does it feel playing games in general? I haven't actually played one yet. I've really just kind of been testing the stuff out, so I can't really say it yet. I do want to see the Truxton difference, because I have the Truxton arcade game on Mister. Let's start with standard and play it for a second. Go back. Yeah, 645. That is pretty funny, but... Like, look at this. We know exactly what to do. I hit start, and I already know exactly how to play this game. No instructions needed. Hey gamer, that is a great question. I will do that in a second. Hold on, I think I gotta just loosen up one of the screws on this controller to try to help that button. There we go. All right. I mean, to your point, Elk, what the moves are, what the goals are, sure, all those things, but just being able to shoot and dodge bullets, anybody could kind of figure out. Maybe the first time I ever played a shooter game. But... Yeah, Robert, you cannot use third-party controllers, only Genesis ones, which is kind of dumb. I didn't hate the other music, but it's cool that you have this. Alright. Turn to the main menu. Yeah, anything that's Sega branded, including the RetroBit ones. Alright, so... Ah, Elk. Okay, I get it now. Thank you. Apparently Genesis Truxton had a bug that made the music play PAL speed in all regions, but M2 fixed it for this release. Okay, so US music. Oddbjorn, yeah, back in the day it would be possible for them to have made... I think it might have been possible, but they wouldn't have done it because it would have been too hard to get something to run at that speed then. But they certainly did get games in 50 hertz to run feeling like the 60 hertz North American and Japanese versions. But often they didn't. Like if you ever play US Sonic on a US or Japanese Sonic on an NTSC and then play a PAL Sonic game, it's very different. Was the EU soundtrack the same as the Japanese one? This is pretty cool having the different box art. I'll definitely say that. Nope, go back. Oh, this is the US music, right? Well, how would I have known? I don't speak Japanese. Sorry. So let's see if we could do that without switching it to Japanese. Yeah, Marcello, also kind of weird. Agreed. Yeah, good guess, good guess. let's try Sonic one last time, just to... Let's try EU version then. Hey, Humble Bazooka, how's it going? Okay, so that's cool. So you get both soundtracks in English. You don't get the Japanese BIOS. So that's cool. Let me just see what else we got. Rainbow Island? Sure. I'll give that one a try, and I think we'll call the stream after that. Tony, about 3 frames of consistent lag. Oh, wrong button. I don't think I ever played the second one. Only the first one. Hey Dan, thank you very much for the super chat. I think I'm gonna have to try that now. Yeah. It does sound a little off. Oh, that's a good point. 6:45. I'll go back to Golden Axe in a second. I think I've only played this game once. EW Rooney, yeah, you should be able to. Just keep in mind that if you're going to do the assembly with them, I would strongly recommend that you do it yourself first. Because whenever you do an assembly, you really should have knowledge of exactly what needs to go where, and they very often have to ask you questions about that stuff. So, yep, you should just be able to drop the Gerber file and have them do that if you just want the PCB, but I wouldn't do assembly without it. Okay. Yeah, Robert, it is very Rayman-y. Let's try Golden Axe 2 one more time to see if there's a difference. I think that'll be pretty much it. Yeah, I'm running out of time, Robert. Sorry about that. I can boot it up, maybe. Sound does sound right now. Good call. Good call. Ragnarok? No, I haven't really tested it, but I think there's a lot that goes into that. Arturo's been doing so much research on PC input latency, and it is overwhelming. I mean, we're probably gonna have to do a multi-hour podcast just discussing it, not even, not even being able to demo it. Not bad, Jordan. Not bad. Yep. That looks like Rainbow Islands. Alright, well, thank you all very much for sitting through this incredibly long stream. I really do very much appreciate it, but I'll get a post together summarizing everything, and I like it. I think it's worth the money. So thank you all so much. Thank you especially for the super chats that bought the controller for being able to do this. So you're all awesome. I will see you all soon. Later, Zofar. We're going to catch up again soon, my friend. But take care, everybody.